building intervention team meeting. We have our note taker, Ms. Jacobson, facilitator, Mrs. Edmond, and we also have our administrator here, Ms. Wilson, and Ms. Maiden. And today our focus for our building intervention team meeting is academics. So we'll start off on our talking about our systems, okay? And we want to focus on any improvement that we need with our systems, how it's working, particularly the progress monitoring piece. We want to really focus on to make sure that our students are matched to their interventions and that they're given with fidelity. So among our discussion, we'll briefly look at the SMART board to review the first grade progress monitoring data. And first I'd like to address the first bullet point. Are there any systems that we have in place that we feel that need more support, or that how is it going? Do we need to improve some areas? So what do you all think as far as our systems that we have in place? Have a small discussion.
I know Sarah and we discussed with the school-wide progress monitoring in the calendar.
Yes.
That we should possibly send reminder emails to them. You know, it's in the calendar, but it's always good. Teachers are busy to give them a reminder. And we thought about doing it based on, I know we discussed having particular grade bands that we will individually kind of work with. Just having that cohort we're responsible for and sending out
That sounds awesome.
reminder emails.
And in addition to that too, I was just discussing that with my parent, with the building intervention para, that it might be a good time as well to, as we're picking up the students for booster lessons, to, you know, kind of give a gentle reminder as well that progress monitoring, you know, should be taking place, because we're keeping a log as to how many times we're seeing the students for their interventions. So both are great ideas. Anyone else? Mr. Weber, do you have any?
Well, I'll work with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade,
Okay.
and I'll report back, but I'll work with them and as we work through the schedules and the deadlines.
I think having the calendar that's been created is, because most people are visual and, you know, they need a visual reminder. You know, we check our emails and most of the time they're at the end of the day or maybe during a quick lunch break. But having the calendar is really a helpful tool. And I think that a lot of teachers are really going to greatly appreciate that calendar reminder.
I think that email reminders are really big too, because that's a change we made last year with our behavior data. So every week before we collect it, you know, just remember we're collecting your data, and just that reminder has been really helpful, because we know everybody's so busy, there's so many things, and it just puts that back on their radar.
Awesome.
Another thing we can do is put it in the bulletin for the weekly updates. We'll definitely put that in the bulletin, those dates in the bulletin where the progress monitoring needs to be taking place.
Right.
So that's another reminder for teachers.
So what I'd like to do now is look at the SMART board and just kind of briefly review some of the first grade data for the progress monitoring. So make sure that we have, sorry about the screen, sometimes they have a mind of their own. And she is a tier 2 student. And if you notice that her goal line is here, and this is where she started, so she really has made some gains. And I know that Ms. Maiden had mentioned before that she's also a part of the attendance club. So by having that push to come to school more often and making sure that she's here, we can see that due to that effort, she's really come up academically. So, and again, this is from the reading test, early literacy test. So she's on an upward trend. Now, this is the most recent score. This is a reflection of the most recent score. However, you can see that she still has met her goal. So progress monitoring is really working out. I've noticed some growth within her as well. I think I had her working on an activity where she had to create some CVC words. And the first time we introduced the activity, you know, she needed help, but then I've noticed that she's become more and more independent. So every little bit helps. And as you can see, having those progress monitoring scores reflect that is proof that this is working for this particular student. So, any questions about that? Okay. I know that Ms. Young also has a student who is, and we'll pull up a student who is one of the accelerated students. So we offer tiered intervention for both, you know, accelerated students and students who need an additional support. She's exceeding far above her goal. So,
And I'm wondering what happened with the one data point, because, and then if you look at the date, that one was given a week later.
we can conclude that with all the interventions, be it attendance, because they both tie together, and the fidelity of implementation of our interventions, you know, in the morning and even during the booster times and in the classroom, it's really working out. This is the proof that it's really working for our students. Any questions in regards to that?
Just one. I was asked by a middle school teacher what is recommended for literacy interventions. She has interventions, but was there anything in particular that's recommended?
That we have to look more at what specific
Yes,
skills
that's
that
what she
they're.
said. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, so once you identify that specific skill, then there's different resources on the portal and things
Exactly.
like that
The
that
NPS,
could then be
RTI
worked at,
teach.
so that skill is targeted appropriately.
All right, well, we'll use the data as well. Okay.
Right, and yeah, STAR has lots of resources
Right.
that are available to teachers for, yeah.
And specific to each student too, based on their results,
Yes.
so. If she needs help finding those resources through STAR, she needs to contact one of us so that we can direct her that way.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, we made it all convenient. I love the way that the intervention page is right there, and just by one click of the button, you know, you get a plethora of
Right.
resources. Okay, well, we'll move along with our agenda. The reflective questions, and we've already kind of discussed the pattern and trends with those particular students, and that being here has a close tie to how well our students will perform. With Alviana being a part of the attendance club, we know that, you know, where she started and now where she's ended up, you know, it's really been beneficial for her to have support. Let's move on to the last part of the next bullet point on our agenda, which speaks of support for our teachers. And that question that we want to address, our system that we have in place with our calendar. Do we know of any individual teachers that might need that extra support? Well, we know based off of looking at the progress monitoring data who those teachers are, and it's just a few of them, but we're going to divide out who goes where. So let's just go ahead and do that now, and just kind of split up who's going to be responsible to support those teachers and kind of give those gentle reminders. So Mr. Weber, you're working in the middle school, so
Right,
you'll take care of the middle school?
Yeah, there's 2 teachers there that need some extra support.
Okay,
I don't mind doing first through third.
that's fine.
So that'd be 6, 7, 8, that's 4 classrooms.
So we're.
Now, the K-4s, which we do see, I kind of talked to the K-4 teachers this morning during our PD, and kind of reminded them that although they may not have STAR data, they should still keep some type of update as to what they're doing with those students that they have identified as in need of support, whether it be through the informal tests that they're giving in the classroom, just kind of keeping documentation of what you're doing with that student so that when they return, that they'll already have some type of support and we can just pick up where we left off. So, and I can even offer them some activities or maybe perhaps some kind of informal assessment ideas that they could use with those students.
All
So,
right, thank you.
sure, K4 is fine, and I can even remind the K5 teacher, so I'll do the K4 and the K5.
So I will have, fourth
Second,
through.
second and third and fourth and fifth, so.
I thought I selected the first through third.
First or third.
Yeah, so you're fourth and fifth.
Yeah.
And there's 6th, 7th, and 8th, and
Yes.
K4 and K5. Awesome. That worked out well. And so what we'll do is, when we meet again, we'll kind of touch bases as to where the teachers are and any type of additional support that they may need. I'm glad you brought up the fact that the teachers asked you about that.
Yes.
And we need to be knowledgeable of what resources are available.
I asked
So-
them, I was asking questions, trying to, cover what they didn't understand, but,
Right.
Just to kind of, for our emails, I think it would be great if we have the same information going out, so as a team, we
One
work
general.
on a template, yeah.
Mhm.
I can drop it.
Yeah, and then, whoever we have, if they have questions, they'll come to us. If we don't know the answer, we'll bring it to the team.
Awesome. I like the way that we're just delegating out that piece because then we can reach everyone. And I think that teachers really appreciate the fact that, there's someone there directly that they can ask a question
Yes.
to,
Yeah, we are.
get support. That's awesome. And you're working with the middle school teachers, so that's just
Right.
good.
I know the kids, which is,
Okay, so then we did discuss the support that we were offering to our teachers as it relates to the STAR testing and especially the progress monitoring,
yes.
which is a very important piece, because when we meet as a bid team, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at data to determine as a group whether or not that intervention is successful with that child, and then we can offer that teacher the support they need to maybe perhaps change the intervention or challenge the students a little more, or if they're not here, we can offer those resources and remind them of the plan that we have in place and getting their students here. Because I think a lot of teachers, their issue is, well, they're never here. And I heard that question this morning with the calendars, well, what if they're not here by that date? Progress monitoring still has to take place, and it's not set in stone because we have to be flexible with that, but we also want to make sure that those students are getting the intervention and documenting that data.
And with that being said, relatively, so maybe we could create something when it's time to do the progress monitoring to get the word out to make sure that student is so let me brainstorm on that too.
That's great too, because that gives them a heads up.
Mhm.
You can contact the parent or
Mhm.
perhaps send something home in the Wednesday folder.
Notify me if I need to rush into a home visit or something.
Because that's what we do for even the bigger tests. We
Mhm.
kind of prepare our students and get them here and make sure that they're ready. And that's great. Also, I wanted to, we talked about offering some type of incentive or some type of recognition for those teachers that do progress monitoring. Is that necessary, or do we want to recognize any teacher? Do we feel like we need to do that, or is that a little bit too much?
I feel like
We talk-
recognition is always a good thing,
Yeah.
especially I feel like teachers, they deserve to get recognized because they do work hard. So that's something we could
I mean, just a small
think about.
token.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little certificate, thank you for turning,
And especially because it
Consistent.
is a new process this year, with STAR is a new tool
Yes.
this year. I think really recognizing those that have grasped it and ran with it and have really,
honestly.
Believe me, they would appreciate.
Motivation is everything,
Right.
Well,
So,
Right.
I like that idea.
are there any other questions or concerns that we haven't addressed in regards to our progress monitoring? Well, I feel like we accomplished a lot here.